What's up, Team Starlight? This is Declan, and we are here with my tournament report video. But first, just wanted to give a few shout outs. Shout out to Collectible Exchange for hosting such an amazing event. Got some sick prizing, including Ulti-Trag and Ulti-Stratos from them. So super cool cards that I don't own that I'm really happy to now have. Shout out to my team, Marcos, George, Albert. They were there supporting me, and also Marcos drove us all, and we were there to the bitter end till 1 a.m. Everybody was waiting on me. Unfortunately, couldn't take it home this time, but you know, third, fourth is not a bad result. Next, we'll come through with the deck profile, and we'll talk about the rounds. So see you in a second. Behold, the deck that I took from Alistair and Adam Sheck. Like I said in the Dark Hero Frogs deck profile, this deck that I played is extremely standard. It is the exact main deck of one Alistair, except I swapped the main deck MST for Trapstun. I feel like when this deck became prominent, people weren't main decking double DDV or even main decking DDV at all. Because of the meta we're in now, I feel like the Trapstun holds extra weight. I think if people were main decking Oppression, the MST would be slightly better. Yeah, Trapstun was good for me all day, so I don't regret it. I couldn't bring myself to main deck 2 and cut the Trunade though, because I still do love all of these draw cards. The fact that you can draw into Trunade and then resolve it on that turn, which just allows you to OTK with impunity. You know, there's some conflicts with like Reckless Greed and Trapstun, like you draw into it and then you have to set it and wait. I want to be able to just like go off the turn I play my draw spells, so that was that. Brain Control is kind of sitting out here on the side because I did consider cutting that for a second Trapstun, but ultimately I am playing the conversion side, and I did not think that it was worth side decking the Brain Control. Like, I would rather just keep that slot for something else because Brain Control is still a very good main deckable card. And I think if you're not playing the conversion side, there's more of an argument to just cutting Brain Control altogether. But if you're siding into Caius's and stuff, you just want to have the Brain Control and you don't want to waste a side deck slot on it in order to main deck the second Trapstun. The last thing I will say about the deck is I do think that Beal's Frog has some consideration over the second Treeborn, but ultimately my decision to main the Treeborns is similar to the reason I main the Brain Control, where I don't want to have Treeborn taking up a side deck slot if my plan is to transition side. So ultimately I just went with this package, the standard monster lineup. I think all those draw cards and consistency cards from Foolish Burial and to the left are staples and you can't change a single one. The extra inside is, again, exactly the same as lists we've seen before in the transition side, except for the Trapstun is the MST that I swapped. So the only difference is that I swapped the MST and the Trapstun.
So now we have Declan's tournament report on how he did round by round. Starting off with round 1, you faced off against Quick Draw Hero.
Yeah, this guy's name was Jose. He was a real nice guy, and I managed to take it 2-1. I almost threw in the very first round. In the game 3, I went for an OTK, not realizing that I did not have a third Death Frog in deck, which was an omen to come. Something I need to work on, I guess. So I was able to put out like 7k damage and gave him a turn to come back with a full hand because I had like Brionic bounced all his cards. And then I exhaled a sigh of relief when he said, "You got it," because he just bricked, I guess, and didn't have a way to out my like board of like Brionic, Goyo, Dupe Frog or something. So I could have thrown that game though, so I was very fortunate to not start off with a loss at the start of the day.
Yeah, that's surprising considering he had a full hand full of cards and then he drew another card for turn. Yeah, that hand must have been really bad. And quick draw decks usually need a lot of cards to make a huge board, so he must have not had what he needed. But going into round 2, you faced off against Duelist Hero Frog, and you 2-0'd him. Tell us about that.
The Hero Frog matchup is really good for FORGS, just frogs in general. They don't pressure you fast enough to threaten you before you can like get to combo, and then if they do threaten you, you can Colossal Armory Arm them with whatever monster they put on the board because they often don't have back row to support it. But yeah, I played against Sean. Sean was a very nice guy from the Bay Area, and I forget how I won game 1, but I think I OTK'd him with like a 8,000 attack, like, you know, game shot.
All right, going into round 3, you're playing up against my favorite deck, a deck that a lot of people don't like to play against, Value Turbo.
Yeah, I played against this guy named Carlos. He was a good player. I could tell by the way he was kind of using his cards. I don't actually mind this matchup as FORGS. It's not really among the decks that I'm particularly fearing. Like, obviously, if they DDV you and you don't have an out, like, it just is what it is. But apart from that, I don't think it's like a particularly scary matchup. But game 1, he got really aggro, which I don't think is bad at all. He summoned like Armed Wing, Greffer, Gale, and punched me to my face for like more than half my life. And then I just like sweepered him and Colossal Army Arm OTK'd him. So that was really it for that game. And then game 2, I think he just beat me down, and I didn't really have a way to put up a strong enough defense fast enough, and I just got kind of owned. Game 3 was actually very, very close, and it all came down to a moment where I set 2 back row, and he had 1 back row and a Sirocco Cyber Dragon on the field, and he drew for turn, and he said he drew Heavy Storm. So on his turn, I think he said he drew it. So he flipped Deck Devastation Virus on his turn, and then I was able to chain Trap Stun, Chainlink 2, and then chain my Raigeki Break, Chainlink 3, popping his Cyber Dragon. So he lost his whole board and didn't resolve DDV against me, and then he just had the dead heavy in hand because I got to use all my traps. It was like, from there it was kind of just a wash because I was so up on cards and was able to just like poke him down. I don't think he was planning on flipping it until he drew the heavy, and then was like thinking, okay, now that I drew heavy, I want to use it.
Going into round 4, it was another Value Turbo matchup, this time against our good friend Brian.
Yes, an unfortunate team kill in the kind of midway through the tournament. Game 1, I was able to just clap Brian. He didn't draw any engine at all. He like set multiple back row and passed. I forget if I went first or he went first, but I was able to like flip Reckless Greed and then just like OTK him with like, I sweepered him and then OTK'd him, and it was just like, it was over that fast. But game 2 was actually crazy because he went first. He went, Greffer, make Armed Wing, set a back row, draw phase, flip Deck Devastation Virus, and hit 4 cards out of my hand, including a Treeborn Frog. So I go standby phase, I go effect. He crows the Treeborn Frog, and the last 2 cards in my hand are Death Frog and Torrential Tribute. So I had no way to summon the Death Frog. I just had to set the TT. He starts attacking me, and at some point I'm able to, I forget how, like summon the Death Frog in a way, and he had like 3 back row and a monster, and I attacked. Somehow it went through, and like the turns go by and I just keep attacking him. He's like setting monsters and I'm running them over. I'm attacking him. I'm drawing into like back row and stuff to be able to like out, attempts that he has to kill the Death Frog. And this Death Frog literally wins me the game. And then at the end of the game, he said, I don't know why, but I forgot to just like bottomless your Death Frog, because his back rows were, I was just thinking like, what are all these back rows? And I guess he was just playing fast and didn't think that the Death Frog was a threat, or literally just forgot. But that Death Frog won me the game, which is just absolutely hilarious.
Oh wow, yeah, that's super unfortunate. Yeah, you definitely want to flip the bottomless on the Death Frog, especially like post game 1, because you're siding out of the Death Frogs and like you need it to combo. So then we go into round 5 and you're playing against the dreaded matchup against Gladiator Beast.
Yeah, this one was tough because there was 7 undefeated players at this point, and I got the down pair, and it was the down pair into my worst matchup, my perceived worst matchup, which is like Prisma Test Tiger Glad Beasts. And this was against Bill, who I've played before in the past, and he's a good player. But game 1, I'm able to OTK him, which was like insane because it's just so rare. I find that you're actually winning the game 1 in this deck. You have to get kind of lucky and be able to OTK early, or else you're going to let them start steamrolling and like get Chariot set up and all that stuff. Yeah, I just like heavied him and then did 8,000 damage. It was that easy. And then game 2, I had thought that I had stabilized against him and I was frog comboing because I had like Raigeki Breaked his Gyzaris earlier, and he had 2 back row, and I was going like Subsitoad. I was going to go Subsitoad with 2 dupes and start, like every turn gaining advantage, like summoning Unifrog, summoning Flip-Flop, etc., etc., etc. But then midway through my sub combo, he flipped Call of the Haunted, which was able to revive Gyzaris and kill my sub and kill my dupe. which like absolutely just blew me out because the next turn he attacked over my last dupe, tagged into 2 guys, and I just scooped it up real quick. And in game 3, the crucial game 3, I had my opening hand was something like Brain Control, Caius, Unifrog, Pot of Avarice, or something like that. And I'm just thinking, okay, I can't do anything. I need to wait till he commits something, and then I can like Brain Caius, whatever. But then he goes on like his second turn, again, before I had committed a single card, summon Rescue Cat, Test Tiger, tag into Dreaded Secutor, attack, got the Quarry and another monster. I think it was a quest. So he added back a card. He had like 4 cards in hand, 3 back row, and then the dreaded 3 that I'm just thinking, okay, it's over. He's gonna make Herc and it's gonna like be game. And he just passes, which was very questionable. He said he didn't have Chariot, but still, I had at this point Heavy Storm as well. I forget if that was in my opening 6 or if I drew it. I think it was in my opening 6, so I might have gotten a card wrong. But I'm able to go like Heavy Storm, Brain Caius, and just like win the game from there. So that one was like very, very lucky.
Yeah, against FORGS, you want to make the Herc to stop the spells because you need the spells to combo off. Like, there's no traps. I mean, there are some traps post-sighting, but the majority of the deck relies on its spells to like combo off and really pop off.
He said he was worried of like special summon swap tribute for Caius, something like that. Yeah, Herc is just that good. Like, it's like if they have it type of card. But like I had a full hand of cards and it would have in this case owned me. So I'm not sure. Like maybe people will say that you should just never go Herc without Chariot, but I had the benefit of knowing what was in my hand, and I had that feeling that you get where you just like know that you're gonna lose the game, but then your opponent like somehow doesn't capitalize on that. So super fortunate there.
Going into round 6, you were playing against Blackwings. How did that go?
Blackwings, I was against Aaron, otherwise known as Legacy TCG. If you guys are a fan of our like IRL commentary content, you should give him a look as well, because he does a lot of the similar content there and from other SoCal shops that have high quality players, and he has good commentary. And he was recording this game as well. So this is a really important match. Obviously, if you win this, you're guaranteed top, because it guarantees you'll finish X1. I haven't lost yet. And game 1, he goes first, I believe, and he goes Whirlwind Shura. So, you know, not what you like to see. Fortunately for me, I was able to, I think I had Heavy Storm or Giant Trunade, I forget which one, but I was able to like set a Reckless Greed and pass, and then like, I believe that I just kind of like flipped Reckless. Oh no, I had to Gores him. I dropped Gores on him, and then he wasted an Icarus attack on the Gores, and then main 2, I was able to like combo off because I had baited out the Icarus attack and like set up a huge board basically. And then the next turn he like set a bunch of back row, and on my turn I like Giant Trunaded him or something and then just like OTK'd him. So it was like kind of a cool game 1. And game 2, this was really, really brutal. It got down to a game state where I was it was a classic Blackwing trading advantage for damage game where he only had a couple cards. He had a Dyna on the field, a Shura, and 2 cards in hand. And I had a big hand, but I was down to like, I think 2,800 life. And also right before this, there was like a life discrepancy that we had to sort out. And I think he was right, so I went with his life. On my turn, I go set MST, set D Prison. He just goes straight to battle phase, and he goes attack with the Dyna. And I thought for like a minute, you guys will see this video whenever it gets posted on his channel, but I thought for a minute, and I just like wasn't thinking straight or clearly. And so because I had a breaker in my hand, so I could have outed the Dyna when it came back to my turn, but I just decided to deprison the Dyna, thinking it was like the bigger threat between the 2 cards. He went Bora, attack for game with Kalut in hand, so I should have just deprisoned the card that, you know, had potential to game me. I wasn't playing around Kalut, so I was just feeling like I was absolutely throwing. Game 3, I don't remember exactly how it played out because it was very grindy. I was post-transformation side. But all I remember is Breaker cooked so hard. I think he was low on monsters and he like set 3 back row, and then my turn came and I just summoned Breaker and it stuck, and so I got to pop a card, attack. I don't remember if I was able to like bounce. I think I might have gone swap frog, bounce the Breaker to my hand so I could pop another card the next turn. And I just remember saying at the end of the game, like, Breaker absolutely just cooked him. So it was a grindy match, but very good.
So yeah, you're undefeated at this point. You're going into round 7, so you're guaranteed top 8 at this point. So you're probably a little bit more relaxed, but you're playing against Machina Gadget. I actually played this player in round 2, and he cooked me. It's a hard matchup for Vayu Turbo. So how is it for Forgs?
Well, spoiler alert, you're seeing the record. Evidently, I need to work on it. But this guy's name was Gilbert. He drove all the way from Fresno, I believe. So I was happy that, you know, someone who came from so far got to see results. And game 1, I got clapped. He won the die roll. He went first. He goes summon Machina Gear Frame, add Fortress, set 1 back row, pass. On my turn, I go summon Swap Frog, and he flips, what's that card called? Horn of Heaven. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not really like too worried or down bad about it because I have a bunch of other gas in my hand. That I'm just like, okay, I'll just wait till next turn to go off. But then I pass to him. He goes summon the second Machina Gear Frame, add Fortress, pitch Special Fortress, attack, damage step, limiter removal.
Oh man, that's so much damage. Yeah,
that's game.
I think he got me with a limiter too.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, like I literally got turn skipped, like time seal turn skipped, and then OTK'd. So it was just unwinnable. Game 2, I'm pretty proud of like the OTK that I was able to pull off in game 2. It was it was a really complicated game state where he had like a lot of monsters on board, or I forget exactly what was happening. But I think he had a Fortress and a Gear Frame on board and like a bunch of back row. And I had like just enough cards to be able to go for a play where I could make Bryonic, bounce his back rows, then salvage to get my like Treeborn Frog back, and like extra normal the Treeborn, and like Colossal Arm him with like the exact correct number of cards. So it's just a really cool play. But we went to game 3, and oh, I remember this. In game 3, it was a similar situation where I think he had 2 back row but no monsters this time, and I went for a similar line where I went Bryonic, bounced his back rows, he had no response, and I had unfortunately forgotten that I had sided out 1 Death Frog post side, which I don't know if it's correct. Like, evidently I need to work on my siding against this deck. But I went for an OTK that relied on me having the 3rd Death Frog in deck, and it wasn't there, so I was not able to game him. And then I set up like a Duplock at the end of it. I had like Duplock, Substitute, Bryonic, I think, or something to that effect. And
yeah, you had a face down flip flop as well.
Right. So I still felt good about like my position in the game. But then he went to his turn, he went Lightning Vortex, blew up my whole board, and that was basically it because I had committed all my cards to the board. So it was just really, really a learning lesson to... I think if I had played slower and like played a grindy game, knowing that I hadn't played the Death Frog in my deck, I could have just won the match, possibly, but because I like hard committed and what didn't have game, it cost me.
Yeah, I was watching from the sidelines at this point, and after he outed that first Death Frog and you didn't bring out the other one, I was like, oh no, he doesn't have the other one in deck, so I got really scared. So then I walk over and look at your opponent's hand, and he has Lightning Vortex, and I'm like, oh man. So I just walked away at that point because I was like, I can't watch this.
It hurt your eyes.
It hurt, yeah. It hurt to see that he was gonna have the crackback because you bounced everything. So
yeah, I had Brio bounced like all his cards, so he had a full hand, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, but we're going into top 8 now. You are locked in. You are playing Blackwings in your first round in top 8.
Again, this was the run back against Aaron, Legacy TCG. Game 1, I OTK'd him on my first battle phase. It was a classic like summon swap, send Treeborn, set Reckless Greed, pass. He went set 2 back row, pass. And then on my turn, I just went completely balls to the wall with like multiple Pot of Avarices, Fishborg combos, Brionic bouncing his back rows. I had a field of Stardust, Brionic, Goyo, Substitute before I even bounced any of his cards. And one of his cards was Compulse, which compulsed back my Goyo Guardian. But it literally didn't matter because I just had so much gas that I then like remade the Goyo Guardian or like made double Death Frog. I forget what it was, and just attacked per game. So it was just pretty hype from my perspective, not so hype from his perspective. Game 2 was a lot closer. It was like more of a grind game, as like post side games tend to be with this deck. And another situation where I'm really low on life, but he doesn't have many cards compared to me. But we did enter a game state where I was poking him down with Swap Frogs and Breaker. I was at multiple turns, I was dead to a top deck Blizzard. Like, so if he just top deck Blizzard and ran over my like Swap Frog, I forget the exact game state, but I just know like I was dead to Blizzard. He probably could have like Brio bounced my stuff and attack for game. Thankfully for me, there was no top deck Blizzard in the cards for him, and so I was able to seal it.
All right, and going into top 4, you have the run back against the Machina Gadget player.
Yes. So this is where I bit the dust. Game 1, I opened triple Dupe Frog. So it was really awkward because I think he went first again, and I set a Dupe Frog on my first turn, and on his turn he went for like Fortress. He went Fortress and attacked over it, and then it hit me for some damage with like Gadget and Gear Frame, and it was just a lot of pressure. And I could not set up a dupe block because even though I had Substitute plays the next turn, the fact that all the dupes were in my hand meant I couldn't set up a dupe block. So I ended up going for this weird play where I also misplayed, but I went for Colossal Fighter in defense mode to try to just stay alive. But whether or not I had the dupes or not, it didn't matter because he had Vortex, which he was main decking. So he was able to out my Colossal Fighter and just gave me the next turn. So another like super fast game 1 victory for him. And it's making me realize that Machinas are actually like similar to Blackwings in their ability to just like pressure you fast and have that be like a win condition if you don't set up quick enough, because that's what makes Blackwings tough. It's not really like the back rows and the Yggdrasils in my head. Like those cards can be played around, but it's just the fact that they can put on damage fast if you don't open good.
Yeah, the Fortress, Gear Frame Fortress is a really good start, especially against like frogs if they just like go swap bounce to hand, as we saw in your first match with him.
Also Solidarity, yeah. Solidarity was another big one that put the pressure on fast. I think I was like hit for most of my life. Game 2 was like a really solid way that I would want to win the game. It was like I went for a dupe block with Substitute. He didn't have Vortex, thankfully, so he had to set a few back row and pass. And then I was able to like Unifrog one of them. I like blind MST'd hoping to hit the battle trap since he set into like a known Unifrog. And I hit the battle trap, then Unifrog the other back row. Then main 2 went for a combo where I made Stardust Dragon dupe block because I was so aware at this point of like the Smashing Grounds and the Lightning Vortexes that he was dropping on me in across our last 4 games. And I was able to just eventually go off and do like the rest of his life like 7k damage once he like wasn't really committing anymore. Like I think he just like set a monster because he didn't want to set back row into the Unifrog, and then I just like summoned sub and like put out like 8k damage, and it was game. Game 3 was the most crazy game. He went first this time, and he activated like Dimensional Fissure, summoned a Gadget, and set like 3 back row. And I had like a really like mid kind of hand where I couldn't really play into the D-Fissure very well. So I had to just like set a booty and like pass. And he couldn't get over the like dupe frog. So we went like draw pass like a ton of turns. So there was just a ton of cards. He had a D-Fissure, 4 set back row, and like a bunch of monsters. And it got to a game state where I had like Heavy Storm and Brain Control in hand. and Gores and like a couple other cards like Fishborg and Avarice or something like that. And I had a set Mirror Force, and like I didn't want to activate the Heavy Storm into what I perceived was probably a Starlight Road back there. So I was thinking about what I should do, and I came to the decision that I wanted to allow him to like, or wait for him to commit and attack me with like a Fortress, which he ended up eventually like tribute summoning because he couldn't pitch special it with his own D-Fisher on the board. And I decided that I would Mirror Force and hope that he had Starlight Road so that I could then brain control the Stardust and activate Heavy Storm. And it came to fruition where I flipped it. He did have Starlight Road. He didn't kill me. It got to my turn. I activated the brain control. I stole the Stardust Dragon, ripped my Heavy Storm, and then he had Solemn Judgment as like one of his other 3 back row. So that absolutely cooked me because then I went to battle phase, tried to crash his Stardust into the Fortress, but he had like Compulse for his own Stardust Dragon. So had that Heavy Storm gone through, I'm pretty confident I would have been able to go on to win that game because I would have been able to crash our monsters, and then if he played into the Gores, it was going to be massive, you know? But it just wasn't in the cards for me. I ended up just getting absolutely cooked, and he vortexed my Gores later, and that was it.
What an unfortunate way to end the run, but a good run nonetheless. You went 6-1 in Swiss, and then you made it to top 8. It's a great run for FORGS. Really proud of you and George for making it to top 8. We'll have George's tournament report in a separate video. Really happy with how you guys performed.
Thank you. And shouts out to all my opponents for being kind gentlemen. Was really lucky to be playing against such a great community of players. And yeah, hopefully next time we can take the whole thing down.